Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Bokamoso here, or also go as Bokz. So I recently started this new series where I start to tell you more about me after I was diagnosed with a chronic illness known as multiple sclerosis or MS. So guys, please do view this video that I've tagged where I talk about my life before my diagnosis, as well as explain what MS in more detail. And today what I want to do is tell you more about the year that I was diagnosed with MS, and that is 2014. And this year I was 16 turning 17. So briefly, MS is an autoimmune neurological disorder, which means that my immune system attacks the protective sheath of the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, which leads to a lot of miscommunication between my brain and my body. So please do view the video that I've tagged that explains MS in more detail. Also, one of the symptoms that I experience most is forgetting words, especially mid-sentence. So what happens is that I pause for a very long time while I'm trying to remember the right word that I want to use, or I just formulate a sentence using the worst sequence of English. So if that does happen, please note that it is not on purpose and that it is something that I've come to love about me today. Guys, also do share this video if you think that there is someone out there who will benefit from learning about my story and how I've developed as a person and come to terms with being diagnosed with a chronic illness. And subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about me and my development as a person. So let's get into 2014. So 2014 started up very, very well. I still had my commitments in terms of sports and academics that I was doing well in at the time. So in 2014, the activities that I was doing were volleyball, netball, athletics, cricket scoring, and the major production, which is like the school play. So those were the activities that I did, and sometimes training would be early in the morning at 6, and then I'd have school, and then I'd have training in the afternoon, and then I'd have major production rehearsal at night. So I lived at school. It was literally my second home. Spent most of my time there. If I was not at school doing training or school, I was doing tournaments on weekends and studying or chilling with my friends and all that. So quite busy, kept myself busy, and I really did enjoy the beginning. So I decided to donate blood in grade 11, and they came to our school and everything, and there were different requirements that you needed, such as your weight and your age. And then they looked at your red blood cell count or something. I'm actually not sure what they look at, but they check some composition. And the threshold for that is 12.8, and I just made it. I was sitting at 12.9. Even though the guy was a bit wary, maybe you shouldn't donate blood, I was determined and I donated blood. So I was like, what? It's just 0.1, nothing bad's gonna happen. So I did that, and I really felt great because I really wanted to give back to society, and it's always been on my bucket list. So I was happy that I did that. But I was quite naive because things did go a bit south. So before I donated blood, I used to struggle with anemia, which is low iron levels, which leads to a lot of fatigue and all that, but it was manageable. And then after I donate blood, I was tired all the time. I had no energy for anything, but I had commitments and I'm a type A personality, which means that I still did what I had to do, which was netball, volleyball, and athletics, which is the time of the year that those three things were pumping. So in June, July holidays, I went on provincial volleyball tour. I was part of the Gauteng volleyball team, and you know, everything was great. It was another goal of mine that I wanted to achieve, and I finally did, and I went on the tour. And when I was there, I started experiencing a lot of discomfort or irritation with my left eye. I thought that it was because I got hit in the head by a volleyball ball a lot, which is actually what happened. It's very rare to not get hit in the head by a volleyball ball during a game or practice or whatever. So I thought that the irritation to my eye was because of that. But the irritation didn't go away. It actually got worse. And what was happening by the end of volleyball tour was that my vision was becoming double. So if you look at your eyes, and they would form this vision and form one image. And what my eyes were doing, my right would move like normal from left to right. My left would not move as normal, it would move right and then go to the middle. So it wouldn't go fully left if I had to look in that direction. And so whenever this eye, my right eye, was looking fully left, my left eye would stop halfway and I would form sort of like two visions. But it wasn't necessarily like, okay, I'd see the TV on the side and then the couch on the side. It would be that I'd see two images of the TV, if that makes sense. And that sort of worried me a lot because, you know, eyes seeing is something we do take for granted. And I was struggling to train for athletics because I was seeing funny. I was struggling to go to school. I had a scooter at the time because I was seeing like two lanes, or one too many lanes rather. So it did make a lot of things difficult, and I started to compensate by shifting my head slightly right and keeping my eyes straight. So this is basically how I would sit. But whenever I had my head straight, I would be seeing two of everything. And I didn't really know that it was a big issue until my mom told me that the fact that I'm seeing two of her and two of everyone else at the dinner table is quite a shocking thing. And so she kept worrying about it, you know, like, okay, maybe let's see if it passes. But it didn't pass, it actually got worse. And so we decided, you know, okay, let's go to GP. Maybe the GP will figure out what's going on with my eye. The GP then referred me to an ophthalmologist. The ophthalmologist saw me and confirmed. The ophthalmologist saw me and confirmed that I had been hit in the head by a volleyball ball quite a few times because there were scratches on the surface of my eye. But he didn't know why I was seeing double and thought that it was more a brain thing than just an eye thing. And so he ordered an MRI, which is a magnetic resonance imaging. So what it is this really cool machine from the outside, not when you're in it. Really cool machine that you lie it down in, and whichever segment is inside the circular part of the machine gets printed in like a series of images of your body, like It's quite a cool machine, so you can see where your nerves are, where your muscles are, where your bone is, and if anything is not good in those areas. And so I was doing my brain and spine, my neck area of my spine, which means that my head was the thing that was going inside the printing part of the machine. And what they do is they put like this box thing, like a cage, over your head so that you keep it still. Because if you move while the machine is doing its job, then the images don't come out clear and you have to redo the whole sequence. So for normal brain and spine or head and neck imaging for people with MS, the sequence time is about 45 minutes to an hour, which means that you have to stay still for about 45 minutes to an hour. And if you move, you have to redo parts of that sequence. And I think the longest I've been in there is probably an hour and a half, because I sometimes manage to fall asleep and I move when I sleep. So I had to redo quite a few of the images. But it's quite a claustrophobic experience, especially when you haven't done it in a long time or you haven't done it before. So I was a bit scared at the time, 16 and all this, but I came out fine, and I'm here today. And then I went back to the ophthalmologist who looked at the results of the scan. And he was concerned because there were like these little white dots all around my brain, but there was this one that was like prominent, that it concerned him the most. So he referred me to a neurologist and admitted me into hospital for 5 days for treatment. So I was in hospital, and the neurologist then came to see me, and he did a few blood tests, and then a whole set of tests began to try to figure out what was going on in my brain. And one of the tests that I did, apart from the MRI, is known as a lumbar puncture. So what they do in that is they take a fairly long thick needle, and they stick it into the lower part of your back by your spine area, and then they extract cerebral spinal fluid, which is the fluid that runs in your central nervous system, and then they look at the composition to see if there's any antibodies or viruses or whatever to see what's happening. So I did that, and one of the things that you have to do after a lumbar puncture is remain like lying flat for about 6 hours, because now there has been an imbalance in the amount of cerebral spinal fluid, and you need to give it time to sort of become normal again. So if you do move, you tend to get terrible migraines, is what they said. But they said that if you need to pee, then it's fine. And I needed to pee, so I did go to the bathroom, and I was fine. I didn't experience any symptoms then. So everything was fine. The results did come back, and it said that I possibly have multiple sclerosis. But because multiple sclerosis is very rare in the African community, the doctor didn't really want to say that I have multiple sclerosis without me coming back and having a second check 6 months later. He said it could be a tumor, it could be multiple sclerosis, it could be something else. I don't want to say it's one thing and then it's probably not, even though the test results said that it is. But yeah, I left after the 5 days and went straight back to school. Had to do my athletics, and academics was waiting, and volleyball was waiting too, so there was quite a lot of things to do then. So when I got back to school, the migraines started. I didn't know migraines were that bad, but migraines are very, very bad. The pain of your head is terrible. The side effects in terms of like vision disturbances and sensitivity to light, nausea, vomiting and all that is so terrible. And yeah, I went to school feeling like that, nauseous and sensitive to light and all that. And then I threw up in class, which was terrible for me because I used to have anxiety issues where I feared throwing up in front of people. And so that happened. I threw up in front of so many people that my anxiety went through the roof. After that day, I think I took like 2 days off school, and once I got back to school, it was terrible. I could not sit inside a classroom, inside assemblies, anything, without having an anxiety attack. It got really bad that I ended up being nauseous all the time, 24/7. At home, in a comfortable and safe environment, I was still anxious all the time. And so what I used to do is whenever I got to school, I would try, like have hope that I'll be able to sit in class. And by first break, I went home because it just wasn't working. Or I would sit outside the classroom and with my desk at an angle so that I can see the board. So I had to do a lot of things to try and manage to stay at school, get my education, and go to athletics training, which was the one thing I actually wanted to do at that time. And yeah, so a few months went by. That was in July, August, and by September, the nausea was still there and everything. So my mom decided, let's get a second opinion. And we went to another neurologist who met me, saw my scan, saw my results, and said, yeah, you have MS. Now let's start the next step, which is getting you on a treatment plan. And the treatment plan that he was putting me on were injections. So once we started that process, we had to wait until until it was approved for me to start them. And in that month that we waited, I had counselor camp, which is for prefix. It's a camp that you do to sort of solidify the group and all that. So that was a fun thing to do to sort of take my mind off everything that was going on. But once I got back to school, I was still very, very anxious and nauseous and all that. So I decided to go into hospital for 3 weeks to deal with my anxiety and sort of like slow down from everything that was happening. And after my 3 weeks, my anxiety was slightly better, still not manageable. I still sat outside my classrooms and all that, but I felt more okay doing that. But about a week after I got out of the hospital, I started experiencing an MS symptom known as an MS hug. So what would happen is my whole left side, so literally from my head all the way down to my leg, would get into this debilitating pain, like really debilitating pain. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't move, like I literally felt like I was being crushed from the inside out. And I am very dramatic, so it probably wasn't that bad, but that's what it felt like to me. And it would happen that the pain would happen for about 15 seconds and then it would go away and I could continue things as normal. But I decided, you know what, let's not take it too seriously yet because it's only happening once a day. And a week later, I took it seriously because it was happening like 12 times a day. And so we called the neurologist. I went back to the hospital, did an MRI, which is a routine thing if they think that something's going on in the brain, and then I started treatment for 5 days. And during that time, I started my new medication, which were the injections that I took 3 days a week. After that, I went back to school, prepared for my finals and all that, which went fairly okay, besides the anxiety attacks that I had in the hall. So because there's so many kids, we had our assembly hall where we would all sit, so it was like 2 grades, so for us grade 10 and 11 would sit in this, in this hall and write the exams. So that was quite a lot of kids, maybe like 500 kids in one room, and I could barely sit in class with like 30 kids in one room. So to have another 470 in the room was quite hectic. So I'd always sit by the door or something, or try not to be in the middle where I can see everyone. And I managed to finish after missing school for almost 2 months and having to self-teach, self-educate, self-learn. There we go. I had to self-learn everything, and dealing with anxieties during my finals. I finished grade 11 with an average of 74%, which I was quite happy about, given all the events that happened. And so after that, we had our summer holidays, where I started to relax and sort of started to relax and see things from a different perspective, and sort of not let the MS control everything that was going on, deal with my depression better and my anxiety better, and just be with friends and laugh and be happy. And then after that, that led us to 2015, which is a story for another day. In 2015, I was in matric, so 18, legal, you know, the fun things. And yeah, so I am so looking forward to telling you about me in matric. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys did enjoy my story and seeing how things progressed, leading to my diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like it and share it with people who you think will benefit from seeing my life story and how I've grown as a person. And also subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about me and everything there is to know about me and coming to terms with multiple sclerosis. Guys, I'll see you very, very soon.